Yes guys, what's going on? Welcome back to the channel for a brand new Sorare video. Something a little bit different this time around. I've asked Sorare managers that support Premier League clubs to give me their opinion on their football club for the upcoming Premier League season. And this video is going to be split into two parts. Part one being this video, finding undervalued players for their club and also a breakout player from their team as well. Now, the breakout player might be a young player without any cards on Sorare, or a player that's might have had a decent season last season, but now ready to that next step for the upcoming campaign. And part two, which will follow this video, will be all about their goalkeeping situations. If a goalkeeper is nailed on, or a 50-50 potential transfer coming in to that goalkeeping position. Basically, a rundown and overview on their situation in goal. And just before we delve into today's video, a massive shout out to all the Sorare managers that got back to me via DMs over on Twitter. You've all been a massive help for this video. Just a quick side note, I've got 18 teams for this video. Unfortunately, Ipswich don't have any cards on Sorare, or maybe just a couple, so they haven't been included on this video. And also Leicester as well. Yeah, just a couple of delays on that one. If you are a Leicester or an Ipswich fan and you do play Sorare, or just in general, get involved in the comment section of this video and let me know your breakout player and undervalued player from your teams for the upcoming Premier League season. And of course, guys, if you do enjoy the video, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new around here. Some more Sorare content coming up over the course of the next few weeks in readiness for the new Premier League and European season. But without further ado, let's jump in to the video. So let's start off with Arsenal. Massive shout out to Sam G for these picks. His undervalued player in the Arsenal team is Ben White. You can pick his card up for the moment in time in limited for just under £12, as you can see in the top right section here. Now, a quick delve into the Arsenal defence. Saliba, 25-ish pound. You've also got Gabriel, who's a slightly bit cheaper. As you can see, £8. Now, the reason why I think this is great value for Ben White, maybe even Gabriel as well, but Gabriel has never hit, well, in last year anyway, over 82 points, where with Ben White, you are getting a few of those lower scores, but getting more of those peaks as well. And as we always see in the limited category, you do need those spikes, get you higher up the leaderboards in a congested limited league. So Ben White for me is a great value pick, as Sam mentioned, at just under £12. Ethan Nwaneri is Sam's breakout player pick from Arsenal this season, only 17 years old. I am aware of this player. I've seen a few clips on Twitter, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty certain he's playing for England under 21s, or at least under 19s anyway, just 17 years old. And I've also seen a few Arsenal fans as well calling for him to play a few more minutes, especially last season as well. So definitely someone to look out for. Unfortunately, no Sorare cards at the moment in time. Let's hope we get some mints this up-and-coming season. Sam also picked out as well Timber as another breakout player. Only played 2 games at Arsenal last season. After a horrible injury, of course, as well. And again, he does have Sorare cards. We've seen him play for Ajax, 23 years old. So under 23, in fact, until 2025 for next season. And again, hopefully, he'll pick up that left-back position in that Arsenal defence. Next up is Aston Villa. Massive shout-out to Josh for these picks. I'll leave a link to everyone's Twitter handles in the description of this video below. Just don't go and spam them, guys. They just support their football team. As you can see, Josh has picked Leon Bailey as his undervalued player for Aston Villa. He said his rare is a third of the price of Ollie Watkins. Both forward cards and both get into Villa's strongest 11 at just under £7, as you can see in the top right corner. Even when benched, Bailey tends to get a decisive. And as you can see here, I was quite surprised when I saw Leon Bailey this morning as I record this video and look at his scores that he does get for Aston Villa. I didn't realise before him this well. A few really good high scores as well, 80 plus as well. At just over £6 for a forward Premier League card. And as Josh mentioned, gets into Villa's strongest 11 when available at the same time as well. So really good pick there from Josh. Let's move on to his breakout player for Aston Villa. Boston Adelavic is Josh's breakout player for Aston Villa this season. At 17 years old, Josh went on to say, a promising young right back, signed from Red Star Belgrade in January. As you can see on Sorare data here, it hasn't been updated just yet. And again, no cards to this player. He's only up against Matty Cash, who's been benched by Emery last season. Full Konza, who's a centre-back, and obviously Ashley Young, who's a bit past his time now. It's a good chance that he can break into the first team this season. Again, 17 years old, no Sorare cards just yet. Let's hope we get some mints this up-and-coming season. We have Bournemouth up next. Massive shout-out to @FootyDie over on Twitter. His undervalued pick is Marcus Zanetti, the centre-back from Bournemouth. He went on to say, this is a difficult one because Bournemouth players are all pretty cheap compared to league average. As you can see from Zanetti's price in the top right corner, he's just over £3 for a Premier League starting defender. In the last 40 for defenders, he's joint highest decisive actions in the Premier League, highlighting his attacking threat on top of his strong AA game as well. I was very surprised when I saw 5 assists and 4 goals. 5 assists for a centre-back, that's quite a lot. Not quite sure what's happening right there. Strong AA game, as I mentioned a moment ago. 67 score in his last 5 and 57 in his last 15. A brilliant score for any budget defender. Yeah, 5 assists, 4 goals. Really good scores towards the end of the season as well. I'm not sure what's happening here, but a locked-in pick for the centre-back at Bournemouth. Moving on to the breakout play for Bournemouth, I was so happy when the FootyDie included this player in Alex Scott. I've been raving about him for so many years now, a Football Manager wonder kid, and I'm so glad the FootyDie has included him. So he's actually picked 2 players. So Alex Scott had a good season last year, but I think could nail down the spot this season and show more decisive actions to improve his rare score. As you can see for this player, over £3 for a limited card. As you can see, very, very average scores. Put off the bench quite a lot, starting a few games, but hopefully, as the FootyDie mentioned there, let's see if he can make that starting position his. He's also included Tyler Adams, the American midfielder for Bournemouth as well. Again, just under £3 for his limited card. He went on to say, Adams was injured for almost a whole season, but showed in a few matches he's got profile which suits his AA matrix. One to watch, but Alex Scott is my strong favourite for the breakout. So, some really good picks there. And again, massive shout out to @FootyDie over on Twitter. Next up, we have Brentford, and the Footy Guru has picked Igor Thiago as his undervalued player for Brentford this season. Obviously, has just moved to Brentford this summer from Club Brugge. I think for over £30 million, if I remember rightly. Footy Guru Stevie B has gone to say, excites him. He settles in fast. He's young, Brazilian, can add a lot to their attack, especially with Tony likely to go and proven pen taker as well. For a cheap striker punt, could be a good and under 23 added bonus as well. Be all known from Club Brugge from this season. Again, I'm pretty sure he's signed for over £30 million for Brentford. So a massive signing for Brentford. Let's hope he can hit the ground running at just under £8 for his limited card. The breakout player, the Footy Guru says going to cheat on this one and say Aaron Hickey. He's not really a breakout player, but having him back will help the team massively after being injured for the whole season, I think it was. And he needs another breakout season again. As you can see, last year, he only started 11 games due to a big injury. I'm pretty sure Aaron Hickey used to play for Bologna, if I'm rightly, maybe not. Yes, he did. But yeah, only 22 years old. Again, he's so cheap. £1.64 for a limited card. Again, maybe break into the team this season for Brentford. Can play right back. I'm pretty sure he can play left back as well. Maybe just right back. At 22 years old, for under £2. Get him while you can. Up next is Brighton. Shout out to Mort for these picks. He's gone for Baliba, the centre defensive midfielder, as his underrated/undervalued player from Brighton. He says it's quite tricky from Brighton, but Baliba, as he's a powerhouse and got so much promise, hoping this season is a big one from him. So again, a little bit of a breakout player. Now, I first saw him play, I'm pretty sure it was his first game against Aston Villa for Brighton. Maybe not his first game, but his second game onto the pitch. Now, when he does start for Brighton, he does get some pretty decent A scores against the average teams. As you can see here, when he starts, very decent A scores. Against the bigger teams, not so much. We saw up here somewhere Arsenal -10 against Man City -5 as well. But when he does start, he's not actually too bad in terms of AA scores. And again, bit of a breakout player as well from Brighton. Talking of breakout players, I'm so glad Morts went for Barco, a football manager wonderkid. He said Barco could be huge for us if the new manager plays the right style and fancies him to start most games. The only issue at the moment with Barco, of course, is he doesn't have any Brighton cards. There's only 330 Classic Limited cards in circulation at the moment in time. So I think £11 might be quite expensive just because you've got limited amount of limited cards. And yeah, maybe wait for until the new season to pick him up. Perhaps 19 years old, on the 23 until 2020 now, which is absolutely mental. And that's Brighton's left back, Barco, as a breakout player for this up-and-coming season. Moving on to Chelsea, massive shout-out to Daniel Toff Music over on Twitter for these picks. He actually got 2 picks for each category, starting with the undervalued player. The first one, as you can see, is Levi Colwill, one that I actually want to pick up myself as well. 21 years old. He says guaranteed to start next season. He assumes Chelsea will play fairly defensively under the new manager, with Reece James probably inverting, meaning Chelsea will play with a back three, which would generate a lot more passes and AA for Colwill. Future England starter, which I fully agree with as well. There's so many reasons to pick him up at the moment in time. And under £10, you can pick his card up at the moment. A bit of an injury for the last season, hence why there's not many games being played there. But as you can see, when he does play for Chelsea, he's really good. And he's also getting a bit of a shout out here to Trevor Chalobah. He thinks he might leave Chelsea this summer, but it's a good story. As you can see from his AA scores right here, potential to leave Chelsea, can play in a lot of different positions in defence. I think also play kind of like centre defensive midfield as well. But I think his strongest position is right back, slash centre back. And 2 good shout outs there from Daniel Toff Music over on Twitter. Chukwuemeka is Daniel's breakout player for Chelsea this season. He went on to say it's really difficult to predict this early in a Chelsea transfer window. He's not wrong there. He's a special talent. If he gets a couple of games, I could see him before well enough to be undroppable. He almost did this last season before an injury versus West Ham. As you can see, he didn't play a lot last season, of course, because of that injury. So a really good player. I think under £4 limited card at just 20 years old. I'm pretty certain he's played at England youth level at under 21 as well. And Lavia is the other player he's mentioned as well here. Obviously, had a massive injury last season, a big transfer to Chelsea last summer. Only started, or he played 1 game in fact for Chelsea. So let's see if he comes back next season. Under £10 for his limited card. And again, he's just 20 years old. Crystal Palace, one of my favourite teams to watch towards the end of last season, and at CPFC_GH has provided his top 2 picks. One for the breakout, but first of all is undervalued card, and that is Diokore, the centre midfielder for Crystal Palace. He says he's back from his year injury and should be a main part of the midfield with, of course, no other than Adam Wharton next to him. He's a solid player for us and will fit well in the Glasner system. As you can see, the top right, under £3, his last 15 of 0, of course, because of that injury. He might be fighting Will Hughes for that position, but as you can see, when he does usually play, he can get fairly decent scores as well. Moving on to the breakout play. Now, I think he's cheated a little bit here, but I'm going to give it to him, and that's Munoz, who signed, I think, in January from Genk, of course, a right back. He's going to say Daniel Munoz showed since his transfer how good and important he is. Entering his first full season with us and be a standout wing back this season. So yeah, fair play. It's his first full season. Look at who scores as well. Now, a lot of people did think when he moved from Genk, obviously a great scorer at Genk as well, he wouldn't keep up with these scores. Obviously, not as good as he was at Genk, but still very impressive for Aston Villa. And obviously, Columbia utility as well, of course, as well moving forward throughout the next few seasons. So really good shout outs there for Crystal Palace. Obviously, my shout out would be Adam Wharton, of course, but more of an obvious one. Yeah, massive shout out there to CPFC_GH for those 2 shouts. Callum has provided his picks for Everton this up and coming season. His undervalued card is James Gardner. He said he can take some set pieces and is quite solid in centre midfield. Under £2 for his limited card. I will try and speed things on as quick as I can, guys. But as you can see, some really good AA scores there as well. I think obviously Dwight McNeil takes a lot of set pieces for Everton. But Gardner also gets a few as well. If a breakout player, he's got Chimetti. He says a lot more minutes this season. Obviously, likes of Beto and Calvert-Lewin have been in the pecking order ahead of him at the moment in time, but only 20 years old until 2028 utility for under 23 as well. £1.64 for limited card. All it takes is that breakout season. We might see a future star in the Premier League, and you can pick someone that up for £1.64. Bit of a no-brainer in my eyes if that's the kind of route you like to take, plain so rare. But only one start from what I can see last season in the Premier League. Let's see if we can get more in that Everton jersey. Next up is Fulham. Thank you to Alex for these picks. He has given me a few to pick from, so I'll try and run through them as quick as I can. Starting with Iwobi. He picked up his rare card for £13 the other day. His limited card is just over £2. A very solid option, and gets a very solid points most games, and is a starter for Fulham. He's also said crazy value for Bassi, who's £10-ish for a rare card and under £2 for a limited card with some incredible scores. And also Castagne as well, the fullback, of course, playing for Belgium in the Euros this coming this summer as well. But again, limited price under £2. I believe his rare price is £10, which is absolutely insane, according to Alex. Here's two breakout players, one being Jay Stansfield, who's obviously on loan at Birmingham. I've actually seen him play a few times as a Stoke City fan, play very well against us as well. But again, no Sorare cards at the moment in time. There's also Sorare as well. Went on to mention that he was a bench player last year, but always come on and was immense when doing so. He started the game against Luton with a goal and assist. Expect exciting things from him next year. We've also just lost Willian and Bobby Reid, who could be a starter for us next season. So a lot of sub appearances last season. But as Alex mentioned there, if you can play like this and get a few goals and assists throughout the season, can be a handful. We have seen his arms there. It can be a handful for defenders in the Premier League. Moving on to Liverpool, I asked two Sorare legend managers in Mark and Salas for their picks for undervalued and breakout plays. And believe it or not, we've both picked the same players for both categories, which is absolutely fine. I tried to pick a couple managers for the bigger clubs to get different players for the breakouts, but this is absolutely fine. And it shows that these players are good value or breakout players for next season. Starting with the undervalued, as you can see, Mo Salah is that player. And it's quite funny, they both said the exact same thing. Salah saying it's crazy for him to say Mo Salah in this category, and Mark saying it's strange for Mo Salah's name into the hat. At £22 for limited, which is absolutely crazy value. Penalty taker, guaranteed starter next season, still the main striker threat in the league, which lacks quality in terms of forward cars. Says Salah and Mark, both in the exact same thing, which is quite funny as well. At £22, in my opinion as well, it's absolutely amazing value. Look at those scores last season. Limited call. The only downside is obviously the Saudi links, but I'm pretty certain now he'll be at Liverpool next season. Maybe the year after it goes to Saudi, but again, Mark and Salah saying the exact same thing. Mo Salah is undervalued on Sorare. And as I mentioned, they've also picked the same breakout player for Liverpool as well, and Stefan Bajcetic, a centre defensive midfielder. Salah and Mark must have the same thing. He had an injury last season, made a really good impression stepping into that CDM role. He's usually talented, missing piece of the puzzle in that DM role as well. Main rival is Endo, and he could be a solid starter next season. Salah's also give you another name in Jaden Dans as well, one without a Sorare card. Is going to be key in terms of cut games last season. He's a winger, quick, skillful, and also an eye for a goal, and one to look out for next season. So Bajcetic is about £5 for his limited card in terms of current value. Obviously, Jaden Dans has no card, but again, massive thank you for the boys, Salas and Mark, for those tips. Don't forget, guys, if you are enjoying the video, smash that like button. It is much appreciated. A lot of effort does go into these videos from myself and also the Sorare managers that are giving their time to pass this information on to me. And let me know in the comment section below your team name, your breakout player, and your undervalued player as well. Let's move on to Man City. Sorare Connor, thank you for this information. He's gone for Jack Grealish as undervalued player for Man City. He said undervalued was always a difficult one in the City squad. Can't disagree with that at all. But he'd probably edge it to Grealish. He reckons he does everything he can over the summer to have a big season next season. And of course, with players in Man City squad going to the Euros and Copa America, their prices have increased, which means Grealish's price is undervalued according to Sorare Connor. Just under £8 for his limited card. And for breakout player, he's gone for new signing Savio. I think he's just signed or is about to sign for Man City. Right winger. There's also play for Brazil as well, so international utility on the right-hand side. Probably their new sort of Mahrez type of player on the right and left-hand side. Bit of competition there to start with. Again, he could potentially break in that season, break into that team the first season for Man City. Again, massive thank you to Sorare Connor for those picks. Moving on to their neighbours, Man United. I asked Sorare, Alice and Capital Sorare for their top picks for undervalued and breakout plays from Man United. They've both gone for fullbacks for undervalued. First of all, Alice has gone for Luke Shaw. When fit, is a starter left back for Man United. AA monster. And he always gets a chance of getting decisive. Well, very attacking left back at just under £5. And Capital has gone for the other fullback in Delo at right back, of course, under £6. Could have been the player of the season last season, according to Capital, and captain material as well. Again, both around the £5 sort of mark. Breakout player. Alice has gone for Ahmad, who's got no Sorare cards, surprisingly. But again, very good player. Had more game time towards the end of last season and really challenging for that right position spot, right wing spot, sorry. In my opinion, a lot more positive than Anthony, according to Alice. So should get more starting time, more game time, sorry, towards next season. And Capital's gone a bit more out there in his pick in Harry Amas. The left back looks amazing for under 21s. Probably the mix at some point the season after, maybe this season or the season after that. With Luke Shaw's injuries, etc. The other left back they have as well, is it Malaysia? No idea where he's gone. I think he's gone missing. Again, one for the future that might get some rare cards this season. The Geordies are up next. Newcastle United. Massive thank you to Hatton90 over on Twitter for these shouts. He's gone for Lewis Hall as his undervalued player in the Newcastle squad. He said he made the left back his own last season and he can't see him losing it. Only £4, as you can see, the last sale he's £6, so about £5-6 you can pick him up for at the moment in time. Under 23 until 2029 as well. He was on loan at Newcastle last season, but has signed permanently now. I think for about 30 million actually from Chelsea as well. And he's also getting a bit of a shout out to Shah as well, or Share. Very consistent performer, he said, and come up with a goal every so often as well. But jumping back to Lewis Hall for a second. Very, very good score in terms of A last season for £4 at 19 years old. Very solid pick, in my opinion. And for Breakout, he's gone for two plays. First one that I don't really know much about, really, is Alex Murphy, a centre-back that plays left-back as well. He's highly rated Irish defender, expecting to get some game time with Lascelles and Botman injured as well. So one that I didn't know about. I play a lot of Football Manager as well, guys. So Alex Murphy, as a big shout out there. But he's also gone for Tonali, of course, as well. Again, we all know his story. He's been banned for the majority of the season. And centre midfielder. Bit of a breakout in terms, obviously, starting for Newcastle, hopefully next season. They played so many games last season for Newcastle. Again, set PCs, other shot from outside the box. About 10 actually for limited card is not bad for the 24-year-old. But might need to give him a bit of time to get back into playing football. Moving on to Nottingham Forest, I asked two managers in Jay Shaw and Try Harding FPL for their top picks, also rare in terms of breakout players and undervalued in the Forest side. Jay Shaw has gone for Chris Wood at a very, very cheap value at 94 pence for that striker. So if you're playing so rare on a very, very cheap budget and want to get stuck in the Premier League, Chris Wood is your striker at 94 pence. You mentioned he had 14 goal contributions last season. That's popping up with random goals every other game as well. Not the best striker you're going to get in Sorare, of course, in the Premier League, but 94p. Maybe like a backup option as well. If your main striker gets injured, it bounds back up as well. Try Harding has gone for both fullbacks. I've actually picked Nico Williams from his picks. He said Nuno could switch back to a back three. If he does, the wing backs will have a lot more effect moving forward, of course. And Williams is on set pieces too, which makes him a lot more valuable. Again, 94p for a wing back. That potentially take set pieces with Gibbs White. Not an amazing season last season in terms of Sorare scores. But again, if Nuno does go back to that back three, Nico Williams could be that right wing back, get more crosses, more chances of decisive scores as well. Now, in terms of breakouts, we've both kind of picked here Elanga, which is a bit of a surprise to me, but they're maybe kind of favourite player as well. He had a few injuries last season, they both said as well. But I'm actually going to pick Elliot Anderson, that Jay Shaw mentioned as well in this one. Just signed from Newcastle for a big fee of 30 million. He's young, a lot of potential, in around the first team, and can slot right into that midfield. Well, again, we haven't seen a lot from him in terms of scores for Newcastle. Again, I think injured himself as well last season. One to watch for Nottingham Forest this season at just over £2 at 21 years old. Playoff winners Southampton are up next, and Football Banger has provided me with a couple of players undervalued. Starting with Suleimana, a little bit of a risk with this one. He's extremely talented, says Football Banger. He lacks consistency and effort sometimes, but if he stays and knuckles down, he's got good scoring potential on Sorare. Similar profile to Doku. He's a winger, a lot of duels, a lot of contests won at the same time as well. But as you can see from last season, very inconsistent. As Football Banger mentions there, if you can knuckle down that spot, a similar type of profile to Doku at the same time. His card price at the moment is just under £3. Second player undervalued in his opinion is Harwood Ballis as well. Of his centre-back signed from Man City. Had an amazing season at Southampton last season. Under 21, England captain he believes as well. As a team, make a lot of passes. So his A score should be really good. More clearances, more tackles, etc. He should be a solid scorer and will start every game, says Football Bang. Again, his price at the moment in time is quite difficult. Obviously, Premier League and Championship prices. I would say about £7 at the moment in time, maybe a little bit less. Hopefully, when the season comes out, these classic cards might decrease a little bit more as well. But two solid shouts there from Football Banger. And the breakout player from the Saints is a fullback called Larios. I've actually never heard of. Football Banger said he purchased him from Manchester City a couple of seasons ago. He struggled for minutes due to a couple of bad injuries. He's still young and extremely talented. We do have a lot of competition at left back with Manning and the new signing Charlie Taylor. However, if he can get a run of games, he can definitely lock down that spot. Just 20 years old. I'm not sure how much he signed for from Man City. Again, extremely talented, according to Southampton fans, and one to watch for this season and for the future. Up next, we have Spurs. I asked the Parrot Press for his opinion on his Tottenham team this season for undervalued and the breakout player. First of all, we have Pedro Porro as undervalued. Starting right back at just £10 for Tottenham is great value, in my opinion, but also obviously the Parrot Press as well. Set piece taker for a big team. What more can you want for £10? And look at these scores as well. 100 score in there, very high scores, 60s, 70s throughout the whole season as well. In terms of a breakout player, he's gone for Archie Gray, and that is just signing from Leeds. Now, he does play right back as well, but also can play in centre midfield as well. So quite interesting to see what actually does play for Tottenham this season. Quite a big signing from Leeds, a future England player as well. Very consistent for Leeds in terms of starting. Let's wait and see how many minutes he does get for Tottenham this season. But for a big price tag, expecting to play a lot of football over the course of the next couple of seasons, especially for Tottenham. At just 18 years old, one for the future, definitely at Tottenham. The Hammers, West Ham United, are up next. West Ham Gym 7, thank you for these shouts. A couple for each category, starting with undervalued. First of all is Kudus. Now, he is quite expensive for West Ham's team, but West Ham Gym still feels like he's underpriced, which is very, very true, actually. Looking at his scores, he's on the 23 as well for another season. For £18-ish, £15, look at those scores. Very undervalued. You've got to say, in that West Ham side, in a limited category. He's also put a mention as well to Emerson, who plays fullback. The new manager likes to use the fullbacks. So Emerson will provide key for this season. So potential of a new manager coming in, obviously losing David Moyes, might be a bit more positive, and the fullbacks might be key for West Ham this season. Two breakout players, the first one being new signing from Palmeiras, Guilherme. I think I'm probably butchering that name. 18 years old. I think they've signed him for a hefty fee as well. It might be 20 million, there or thereabouts. West Ham Jim, as mentioned here, youngster from Brazil that has come with a big price tag, but probably a year or two away from the first team. So maybe one the year after this season. But again, if he does have cards this season, could we want to pick up and see how he develops at West Ham. And the other player is George Urphy. Again, a player I just don't actually recognise. But I mentioned that George Urphy made a few appearances off the back of the end of last season and impressed a lot of people. I expect to see a lot more of him this season. No Sorare cards again for this player. Just a few appearances towards the end of last season, but one to watch the upcoming Premier League. And again, no cards. Hopefully, he gets minted over the next couple of months. And last but not least, we have Wolves. Two Sorare managers have come forward. Starting off with JH_Sorare. Undervalued player is João Gomez. Centre midfielder. Good A scores for his playing style. In brackets, duels and tackles won. Gets the odd decisive as well. And also international use for Brazil. So starting from Brazil is a massive thing. Obviously, international football moving forward. 23 years old. Plenty of utility there as well. Just under £5, maybe even £3 actually, in his last sales averages. Really good pickup, in my opinion. Obviously, JH Sorare as well. Then Charlie for Charlie has gone for Cunha. A forward card, which is hard to come by in the Premier League. At £5, which I actually didn't realise recording this video. So 25 years old, again, another Brazilian. And again, very decent scorer for Wolves. A very decent score, actually, in fact. And £5 for limited Premier League forward card, which are hard to come by. He's not a bad pickup at all. Sticking with Charlie for Charlie, sorry. He's gone for Ezo Gonzalez. Paraguayan Messi. I've never, ever heard of this guy. But again, this is a shout out from a Wolves fan. He's got no Sorare cards. Potentially the Messi of the future. 19 years old. Has played a couple of games, looks like. Or maybe one game towards the end of the season, just a 1 minute. Let's see if he can break in to the Wolves team this season. And then last but not least, Jade Sorare has gone for new signing Lawson for Celta Vigo. Again, about £3 his card is. He's a forward card as well. Breakout player. Let's hope he can get a few decisive this season, says Jade Sorare. Again, very decent scorer for Celta Vigo last season. A little bit of international utility for Norway. And one to watch out for Wolves this season. And that is it, guys. Thank you all for watching. And a massive shout out and thank you to all the Sorare managers that have come forward and provided me with this information. It's much appreciated. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Thank you all for watching. And I'll catch you on part 2 for the goalkeeper section.